All right, taking a look at the market here, going nowhere fast. I got to tell you, Romaine, volume super light on a day like today.
Yeah, kind of an interesting, strange time here as we get into that nether region here. The Fed is done. Earnings season hasn't yet started, and the market left to its own devices. But that's good enough for green across the screen here on this Tuesday afternoon. The Dow Jones Industrial Average pushing higher by more than 80 points here on the day, or about 0.2%. The S&P 500, 57.33, and yeah, another record high there, up about 14 points or 0.3%. The NASDAQ Composite higher by about 0.6% on the day. We should point out, though, the Russell getting in on the action as well, up about 0.2%. And I just want to point out real quickly, our outperformer on the day in a pretty big way here, Alix Steel, that actually belongs to the Dow Transports. Dow Transports up 266 points, or about 1.6%. 19 of the 20 members higher on the day, led largely by a 4% gain in Uber and a 3% gain in FedEx.
It also leads me to the IMAP. If you go there, it's a little bit of a hodgepodge of red and green, but the green part is materials and then tech. Two different stories, right? One was NVIDIA and the other is due to stimulus from China, but some of those cyclical names doing well too. Plus, you got consumer discretionary, industrials, and materials, one of the top three performing sectors in the S&P.
All right, let's take a look at some of the individual movers out there. Joining us right now, the best of Bloomberg joins us at the table, Amy Orr and Isabelle Lee. And Amy, I know you've been keeping an eye on some of the big movers. Who you got?
Yeah, Visa is actually down 5% so far. So remember, in the afternoon, the Justice Department has decided to sue Visa over antitrust issues, mainly about how it monopolized the debit card payment market. I think it started when it tried to actually acquire Plaid, and then it was really about how it was like asking some of its members to actually pay less if they use their service.
Yeah. Should I be excited about this? I mean, not now that the DOJ has gotten involved. Are my fees coming down or something like that?
Well, not immediately.
Alex isn't a believer. So,
Well, pay your credit card payment first so that you don't have to pay for the fees. The next one is Costco. So Costco is actually like in the public arena that a lot of people are actually upset that they're actually scanning their IDs and also changing the packaging of its
I'm upset.
rotisserie
I've never
chicken.
had a membership. I just piggyback off everyone else's membership.
My
mother's.
Right, that's exactly why they're doing it.
Well, I don't screw them. I don't like that. Anyway, that's why the shares are down.
Yeah, it's down, but it's not that much. It's around like 2% or so. But people are really upset. And also, like, remember that Costco has actually gone really far up, like in the run up to the interest rate cut. So analysts are saying that the upside is actually quite limited.
Yeah, and you know, Scarlett Fu is like, isn't she like a titanium member of Costco or something? I've been trying to get her to loan me her card, but she says no.
She says no way. She gets those really big oil of Olay lotion for her face. It gets me very upset. All right, and the worst performing stock in the S&P, or one of them is Regeneron.
Yes.
Why?
Well, because one of those, the competitor, Amgen, can actually launch a copycat version of its eye drug. It's called Eylea. So essentially, this means that it can actually be up for competition. And also the fact that it actually might have a price kind of pressure as well. But analysts are actually saying that even though some of them downgraded it, some of them are kind of like pulling back on the target price, there still could be a 20% upside according to RBC.
You know, I just realized I started this the wrong way. I started with the decliners, but I was supposed to start with the gainers. So Isabelle, you got to jump in here and stop me. I mean, Alex knows this, but you don't yet.
But you can end on a positive note, so we can do that.
I was so worried. I was trying to think of what Kim Forrest was saying that I was supposed to remember. So go ahead.
I'm looking at Liberty Broadband. So shares are up around 25%, and this came after the company, which is owned by John Malone, who is a cable tycoon, also known as Cable Cowboy, proposed an all-stock merger with Charter Communications. So a merger would consolidate two public companies, and Malone has been looking for years to simplify his empire by really eliminating the multiple stock classes that has been the hallmark of his style. So prior to Monday's announcement of this, we actually have Liberty down almost 70%. So you see investors really reacting to this good news. And it also opened with a pop, and it sustained that gain, which is the important thing.
Yeah, I was looking to see. I wonder how much short interest also was on the stock.
Yeah,
that's true.
Absolutely.
All right, what else you got?
Next, I'm looking at Snap. Snap said it would be using the generative AI model of Google, and that's to power its AI chatbot. So Snap has been investing really heavily on this to compete with its larger rivals like Meta, who has its own Snapbot. So Google, meanwhile, has been looking for clients for Gemini. So it's kind of like a match made in heaven. And as we know, it's really a competitive space in this AI landscape. A lot of companies are really looking to launch the chatbot. I mean, now if you use Google, I was surprised. I think it was last month that I first noticed that when you type, what is the meaning of XYZ, an AI thing pops up.
Yeah,
and
I hate that, by the way. But yeah,
some
thank
people
you.
love it. And a lot of my friends actually don't go to ChatGPT anymore because then you use that.
Ah, there you go. All right, well, that could be a win for them. What else? You're also taking a look at Ryan?
Ryan Specialties, so
Yeah.
we have shares up after BMO raised the recommendation and increased their price target from 75 to 75 from 65 and to outperform from market perform. And they cite numerous reasons like acquisitions, healthy double-digit organic growth, and just really a lot of ongoing investments which should provide a fog-free runway, they said.
Fog-free runway.
I think we like that, right?
I love the,
fog-free
like that.
I love the
runway
euphemism.
sounds-
Because you
Yeah.
don't want to
Let's
take
use-
off with fog.
Yeah, no,
And a
totally
flight.
into that.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, guys, I'm looking at the bond market, and you can all kind of argue that on a headline level is the bond market, particularly the front end, that did a lot of the work today. You're looking at 2-year yields ending down by about 5 basis points. The takedown for the 2-year was totally fine. That came out there. You're seeing a steeper yield curve, but because of that decline in the front end 2-year yield, we also get more auctions and more supply coming on the next 2 days. But that hasn't seen to be a problem recently.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens too as we get a little bit more removed from that last Fed meeting and more into sort of the earnings season, also the economic data, whether that changes the yield picture at all. It was kind of interesting. We were going around the table, guys, earlier talking about some of the stories that we were interested in. And there was an interesting story that was out earlier today about Coca-Cola. I don't know if you've seen these ads for spiced Coca-Cola. Are you familiar with this?
I'm not familiar, but I would be very interested. The only kind of feedback that I heard is not spicy enough.
Well, okay,
spiced with
you're
what?
too late because they're actually just discontinued it.
Oh, no.
So apparently no one knew what the heck this was. I thought it was actually spiced as in like spices were being put in here, but I was told that's not true. It's apparently just a euphemism for it's
Yes.
like a more punchier version of Coca-Cola. Apparently no one knew what this thing was and no one bought it.
Yes.
6 months and they've discontinued it.
It's interesting and surprising because
Yeah.
they launch it as a permanent flavor because Coke is known to
Yeah.
launch, a series of seasonal flavors. And I went to Reddit, which is the best source of news, and a lot of people said, it's really just like Coke Zero with a hint of raspberry. So
Raspberry and spice
Raspberry.
flavors.
Yes,
Isn't that
it
Dr.
doesn't-
Pepper?
Exactly, and it doesn't match the spice label. But then, Coke is known for its unusual styles. Remember the Oreo flavored soda? So
I don't
I
remember
cannot
that.
imagine that.
I
Oreo-flavored
don't remember
soda?
that. Did you have that? Amy?
No.
No? Okay.
I should really be tapped
Well,
in
you need
more
to,
to the
you need
market.
to run out to
Yes.
the store right now and get yourself a spice before it's like pulled
Definitely.
from the shelves.
I'm looking at more like the Monsters, like the Celsius, and also the Liquid Death. Well, Liquid Death is probably planning for IPO, so that's what I'm going. Well, which is just a sparkling water.
and keep the can because that's a
I
great
know. I bought
memorabilia.
Liquid Death thinking I was something like
Cool.
important, and it was just like
It's
water.
not. It's not at all.
apparently
But it looks cool.
The theme for it is when you go to like music event or whatever, and then you don't want to be holding just a sparkling water. It doesn't look cool. But if you hold a Liquid
Liquid
Death,
Death. Yeah.
You're totally jamming.
Yeah.
I also wonder too if this is because of Poppy. It's like the soda that's not soda, and it has like better stuff. They bill it as better stuff for
It's
you.
supposed to be like probiotic or something.
Exactly,
for your
and like
stomach.
no added sugar and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So like that stuff kind of eating away and the traditional sort of more interesting Oreo Coke or like raspberry flavored
Yeah.
spice Coke.
I mean, if I'm gonna drink pop, I mean, just give me the full sugar.
Pop,
for it.
aw, that's Midwest.
Yes, I'm a Midwesterner. I don't know all you East Coast elites with your fancy soda words there.